What's up, boss? It has been too long, my friend. I know we were catching up a little bit, I, but the best thing about this though is that when I have a conversation with you, I feel like I just talked to you like yesterday. It's just the chemistry. You catch up. You're like, damn, dude, it's been like a year or two. Like, really that long, or even a year, or man, dude, it's
I think people
no
can.
audio on your side.
Yeah, there we go. It works now.
There.
It's when you update software. Yeah, it works now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was just like I was updating OBS recently, and when you do that, they just sometimes reset your settings.
Yeah, totally.
um, so that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been like how many years it's been? Like it's been like at least like a year and a half or something,
I,
something
at
crazy like
least
that.
At
Yeah.
least, I get my. Let me get my. Do I need to turn on my camera? My bad, dude.
You
Should
don't need to. It's
I? Okay.
okay. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
Like the Skype software is new as well. Like
Yeah.
they kind of force updated. I was trying to keep like the old one as long as I could, because the old one worked with streaming software, so I could pull the camera data into the stream,
Yeah.
whereas the new one is like, it just doesn't work. It's a blank black screen.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you do that, Microsoft?
Uh,
Why are you doing that? Come on,
Jeez,
just
man. God,
relax.
I don't
Just
know.
be nice for once, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Are you? Do you run Mac or are
No,
you
I'm fully PC.
full PC?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's just because Macs don't support like Nvidia cards. That's like one of the major ones.
Yeah.
Which makes it like extremely difficult if you are into GPU rendering. There's
Mm-hmm.
just no way, you know, um, no way you can be on Mac if you want to do like rendering GPUs and whatnot. It's just too difficult because you
Yeah.
have to use like um, third party drivers, and that means that they're not stable most of the time, and that also
Mm-hmm.
means that you know Mac people or like Apple is not happy about that either.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
proprietary, so like let's not do that. Let's make it difficult.
Yeah. No, I understand. I was gonna say is, have you tried cloud rendering at all, or
Not yet,
offload a lot of this
actually.
to certain? Okay.
But there is
Yep.
like,
So we.
I know V-Ray and Octane, all of those software have option for cloud rendering. And I guess it's like really good for if you're doing like a larger project and you need rendering. It's definitely gonna be the way to go for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we will talk about this today. It's just the direction we've gone with some of our products, especially Fusion, of
Hmm.
leveraging the cloud to do a lot of that workhorse stuff at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, let's talk about Fusion because
yeah.
that's one of those little babies that I've been always, a fan of, and we talked about this very briefly before we jumped on the call, that pretty much last few projects that I was on, they were like almost entirely Photoshop projects, so I just like didn't even bother using 3D for a while. But now, now some of the projects I work on require 3D again, and and there's certain things that I'm learning as well. And like I just came back to Fusion. It's just like, hey, let's launch the program, see what's going on there. If there's any changes since the last time I used it. And
Mhm.
surprise, surprise, all of the things that I was like really upset about, they're now fixed.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is the keys, man, the shortcuts. That change
Hmm.
is the one of the reasons why, like, I was not happy about the software. It's just like because when you don't have shortcuts, it's just very difficult to use.
Oh yeah. The
Um,
experience. Yep.
yeah, the experience is just like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. You know what I mean, though. You know.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So the good change is like you can actually do it now, which is fantastic. And now I am sort of like trying to figure out which shortcuts are optimal still. but
Yep.
I'm getting there. I'm
No,
getting there.
man. No, dude. It's so you share with me. I mean, I see a lot of prismatic type of features here, right? Where are these just some projects you're working on, or is it something that you have in the pipe, or just experimenting with like traditional solid modeling experience? Where do
So,
you?
in terms of Fusion 360 use, like the way I've always been using it, it did not change. So like the functionality of it, where it's like, let's start with, you know, like what is the purpose for which I'm modeling? It's exactly as it was. That didn't change at all.
Yeah.
Which means that you know it's either gonna be like building props or vehicles, models, and whatnot, which is great. But it also works for like the more I've been using it, it also works for environments now as well. Especially for like anything hard surface, it's perfect. So
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen some of my recent posts. If you can probably see it on my website or even just the banner for the stream.
Hmm.
I did like CD renders, like sci-fi CD renders, and those buildings were made entirely in Fusion 360.
Yep.
So I'll actually, let me do this because this might be easier for you to look at, and it's gonna be more real time. I'll share my screen with you so you can see
Hmm.
what's going on my
Yeah.
end.
I can see it all right now on your side through Twitch. So
Yeah, but that's like delayed. I want to make
Okay.
sure.
Got
Yeah, I
it.
want to make sure you can see share screen. Boom, there we
Awesome.
go.
And I'll see some of the questions that are popping in. Are you doing that?
Yeah.
Is so optimization and generative, right? It's interesting that people bring this up, and that's a topic I wanted to talk to you about.
Hmm.
Is shaped optimization. We call it generative design, and that's a big buzzword now of what, like, how do you get it? What's the difference between that and topology optimization? And I can go down that, and I know you do more of like the hard services with Fusion, but there's just another side of the beast of like, hey, if I told the computer build me something from this edge to this edge,
Hmm.
and here are my restrictions, go, like it'll do that for you, right? And that's generative design, where you can
Right.
go through it and have the computer give you some crazy ass design based off certain keep boundaries or keep out boundaries,
Hmm.
rather than you as like a designer saying like, well, shit, man, like, okay, well, how would I even CAD this up, or how would I even think about, like, how would I make this look good, right?
Hmm.
Well, now we're getting to a point to where we're going to have the software do that for us.
Oh yeah.
So even as I read through some of these comments, as you're showing me what you're doing here, is so we do now offer it for students. I see that popping up here, but there's a little asterisk behind that. Is that we offered it about a month ago to students, to 32, we call them ELA accounts. 32 colleges out there. Let me kill my Outlook because it gets annoying. But 32 accounts out there,
Hmm.
and they can access that. So there's a list. So if you want to know the list, DM me privately, and I'll keep you guys in the loop around it. But I think you have to pay, right, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
for and I'll talk about the tiers. Hold up, let me just it's just crushing me here. I think there's a little delay on this side with Outlook. Now I wanted to close itself down. Sorry here. But anyhow, so we've even changed the structure of Fusion. So Fusion, you get in the whole kit and caboodle is $495 a year. So $495, you get Fusion 360, and then and that comes with generative design, right?
Hmm.
So if you're a paid customer, you get it. Then you have the student edition, which certain schools do have it, and eventually we're looking to open it up to more and more schools as we go down this process. But the key thing, though, is that we're working with something called, cloud consumption.
Hmm.
So let's say, for example, all right, I want to create a design that's built off of like 10 different types of materials, and go cloud, give me the design. You know what I mean? That will cost you, right? So it's called cloud consumption. We're ironing out a lot of those details today, But it's kind of like pay as you go, right? It's like Boost Mobile. Like you want it, pay for it. If you don't need it, don't pay for it,
Mhm.
right? So we're trying these different things in the market, and I think we've seen some great adoption, right? People like that. Sometimes people don't need all these extra features and pay this big bulk amount of money. Where here you can get a lot for $4.95, and if you need something specific, well then you can pay a little bit more to get that, right? Turn it
Mhm.
on. So that's just kind of the last time we've talked. We've changed that quite a bit on the Fusion side from a perspective. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, that
But
makes
tell me,
sense.
right? So you're doing. I see everything real time now. A lot of hard shapes. You mentioned earlier the posts you did
Yeah.
primarily buildings stuff like that, right?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like this is now way easier with shortcuts for sure. Because like I'm still kind of learning which shortcut's gonna be the
Mm-hmm.
ideal ones for this. And I made some shortcuts already, and I
Yeah.
forgot what
Yeah.
those were. So I'm still like relying on going back to certain things here. But
Yeah.
like overall, it's way faster.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't know. Like I think we had last one of the streams way back when I was showing you this other software that's really good. It's called of Inspiration 3D, because
Mm-hmm.
that's like the other one. Like I would say from the friends that I have working in the industry, like between that one and this one, it's like those are the two sort of like major players for
Mm-hmm.
designers when it comes to like hard surface design made in CAD. So there's certain features. I think we went through like a round of like, hey, look at what those guys have,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
you guys have, and it was it was fun, and some of those things that we were missing, especially like shortcuts is the big one, right? Because it just makes it much faster.
Mm-hmm.
Is here, so that's perfect. There's certain things I would still want to improve, and I don't know like how feasible it is, but
Mm-hmm.
um, like you have little features where, let's say here, you have look at, sketch grid snap, like, and you have to click them, for instance, right? Um, like any pop-up menus, let's say if I do fillet right here, and you have this menu, it would be probably it would make this software extremely powerful for designers if any of those little features here could be
Mm-hmm.
shortcutted as well. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So like as you go, for instance, if I go to, let's say, create an let's say rectangle,
Mm-hmm.
you can already see that there's a shortcut here, and there's like three dots. So
Yep.
for those who don't know like how to set it up, like if I want to change the shortcut for this, I just click those three dots and then change the
Mm-hmm.
shortcut. And then you can just, type in whatever shortcut you want, and it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yep.
But then like as soon as you use it, let's use that one, and just do like a rectangle. Yeah, it's just like those options. Maybe like having an ability to, like, let's say you have a rectangle and one is like 2-point rectangle, 3-point rectangle, and then the center rectangle.
Mm.
Like maybe if you can shortcut it, or like if it was coded in that as soon as you have a pop up like this,
Yep.
then like hitting escape instead of finish sketch, or like if you press enter, it finishes the sketch. Like
Yeah.
automating it through the uh, keyboard would be
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Like if you hit escape, it cancels the operation altogether. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe the main feature, like if you could like just tab cycle through those, or like shift tab or whatever the shortcut would
Yeah,
be.
I was going to say tap cycle. Yep, I know
Yeah, it would
other
be awesome.
do that. Yeah, yeah. This is good feedback. I like that. And the shortcut, we had the S key, right, that you
Oh
can
yeah.
customize. That's been around for a while. And then we brought what you just showed, right? The in-depth the in-depth one of like the three
Hmm.
little dots. And now you can do customized keyboard shortcut. Because that was the biggest freaking complaint, man. Was like, yo, man, I come from AutoCAD or someplace where I have all my keyboards set up. I don't want your default stuff. I want it like this. And now that travels with you. So our thing was like, well, we're cloud based. I mean, if you go log in somewhere else, if you log out and I log in, our thing was like transferring those keyboard shortcuts with me to wherever I go, who I log into,
Yeah.
right? So now we finally got that dialed in. which is great. It's been a great thing. And then two, as you see, we just did an update, geez, like this week, because we come out with updates like every 2 to 3 weeks on the product. So we just did a really nice update this week, and every update we drop a YouTube video on the Fusion 360 YouTube channel, just letting you know, like, hey, this is what we did. So there's been some cool stuff with the sheet metal design. We've added some things there. Sketching, we've stabilized the sketch a little bit better with some new functionality, because from the looks of it, you spend a lot of time here, in sketching to then move to that next level of an extrusion. So I wanted to let you know that we've done some things this recent release in sketching, and then of course on the manufacturing side, we've done some good stuff as well. So
yeah, maybe let's talk about those. Like, what
yeah.
are some of the major ones you feel like it will be really interesting to look into?
Yeah. So I look back from a product standpoint, right? And I think from the video, it was talking about when you have a sketch with a lot of dimensions, certain dimensions would overlap. Like when you do an offset sketch, for example, the things would get a little cloudy. So now we're just trying to make the sketcher better, right? Even from a standpoint to it. And the guys do a great job. If you guys aren't familiar with the Autodesk Fusion 360 YouTube channel, there's plenty of stuff on there from how-to tips, tricks, and learning content. Yeah, totally. Definitely bring it up just so I can showcase that to you guys as well. I think there's some really good stuff there. All right. And then we also have something, and I'll have you bring that up in a sec, called the Design Academy. And if you guys are unaware, this is where, if you're like, hey, look, I need to learn a little bit more about Fusion and want to walk through like a workshop, there's some great stuff there as well. So we did, yeah, I think it just popped away, but if you scroll down a little bit, oh, there it is right there. So what's new in Fusion 360 March 2009 update. So 3 days ago, it's the Forces video. Yep, right there. Hey guys, we just did, you can probably mute those guys, but if you just scroll through, it's at the very beginning where you'll see some of the new functionality that we did do, which is great, right? Because it's not often we're going to see a product that's always going to update and give you more features and stabilize the product and just iron out things. So it's always good.
Yeah.
To keep educated, man. I'm sure the new interface. I mean, a lot of people don't notice that, but we just redid the ribbon bar interface too. So you can see the difference when you have solid surfaces, form mesh tools, as we're just trying to make it a more seamless environment.
Yeah.
So this is generative design. I mean, I'm sure you guys have the questions that were popping up here, some of the things we can do. We've enhanced that experience a little bit better, but at least you can know that, in our commercial version at $495, you can use generative design full force. So if you're on it, should be, and I gotta confirm, I think if you are an entrepreneur or a hobbyist, I don't know if it's in there or if it's not. I think it is.
I think last time I checked, yeah, I think
it is, right?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Yep. So I think even if you drop down, you should have it too. But it's a process, right? Like that's fully cloud computing. I did it on I was doing an upright for a car, and I threw it in generative design to give me a more lightweight example. We even did a case study with General Motors to where they had an 8-part assembly seatbelt bracket, and we then made it into one part, from 8 sheet metal parts to one part, and reduced the weight by 40% and made it 20% stronger. So it's just remarkable to see like what generative design can do, from that perspective. So this is some of the sketch stuff as we were talking about, right? Just like, stuff that you would have expected, but now it's there, right? Like things just to make the experience a better place at the end of the day. We're here to make your dreams come true here. Okay, you know what I mean? That's the goal of Fusion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I have never played with the sheet metal. That will be interesting. It will be interesting to check it out for sure.
Yeah, and you think about sheet metal, I think about it from a manufacturing perspective, right? So then how do you go make this thing? And
Hmm.
that's the beautiful part is, when you drop that under manufacture, we have a tab called manufacture. You can go to a 2.5 or a 3 axis mill or a lathe or a water jet or a laser cutter or a plasma cutter to then go make this object, right? And I think a lot of people lose that disconnect of like, dude, it's all easy to design, but how then you go make something, right? And that's what I try to tell people is when I was an evangelist, it was like, look, man, this is the end-to-end solution. It's not just a CAD program. It's not just a CAM program or a rendering
Hmm.
package. It's everything. It's all of that. It does everything. Um, so bravo to the Autodesk team for getting something that's really something to adopt really well in this industry, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of those little. We talked about it before. Um, like how different Fusion 360s is from other products in the
Yeah.
lineup. Like
Mhm.
you guys are moving on way more like fast pace,
Mhm.
which is great.
Yep. Yeah.
Because like some of the features, if I ask for a feature in in 3ds Max, like for 3ds Max, forget forget about it, dude. It's gonna take like maybe a decade.
Yeah, and so you bring up such an interesting point, right? Like, so you look at the infrastructure and the business model, right, of Fusion and some of these other cloud products versus like the traditional model we call
Hmm.
perpetual licenses, right, where you just pay, you get a license, if you pay maintenance, you get the service pack update,
Hmm.
you all that kind of shit, right? Like that has changed. Like it's a different business model than Fusion, right? Like it is. We number one have built this product around the community. People like you, right? Saying like, look, man, what is this horse shit? You know what I mean? And why can't I do this? Well, we listen and we document. If you guys ever read our What's New blogs that we come out on the forums, like we say, hey, we'll call out people. We'll be like, hey, Mache at 169, you were asking for this, and we finally did it. Here it
Nice.
is. We added it this release, or that's to come, right? And I think that's what made a difference when I was on the SolidWorks side for some time was like there wasn't that. I mean, there was a community, right? But here you're dealing with Autodesk employees. You're dealing with people that kind of have like a brand, right?
Hmm.
Like when people deal with you and they see you right now, they're like, "Damn, it's Mache. Like, shit, man, I follow you on Instagram and Twitter, and like I could connect to you, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I can connect." Where before it wasn't like that. Now it's like, yo, people follow me, people follow you, people follow everybody. It's like when you meet them or you see what they do, you feel like you know them. It's a sense of a personal touch, and that's what we hear a lot of on this team. Is like you guys aren't just some like behind the scenes coders. Like there are people that are interacting. Like it's like you are replying back to people, right? So
Hmm.
it's people forget that aside from the this experience of coding and using the product, but it's the other part of the experience, right? Of
Yeah,
the customer experience, right? and that's
exactly.
and that's a big focus for
Yeah,
us at
there's
Auto.
something to say about like just the idea that you can connect with, with the developer, uh, and have a conversation, and like at least like even if the changes are not happening, you at least
Mhm.
feel that you've been listened to,
Yeah,
and that maybe something will eventually happen. So that's awesome, and that's always been the way I felt about the software. That's why I've been always like talking about it. It's like, hey, like everyone's like, do this, like learn that. It's like, no, just this is good. This is
yeah,
this is what I do.
yeah.
um yeah, it's pretty rad. But yeah, there's like certain small things that that are still like, hey, let's improve them. So like for anyone who is in the same spot as I am, and say like, hey, I love it, I really enjoy using Fusion, but there are certain things that I would love to see improved. Like what is the best way for people to actually you know uh, be engaged with the developers and ask for those requests?
Of course. So I'm going to bring it up and throw that in the chat. So the we actually have something called the Idea Station, and the Idea Station is basically exactly what it said. Right?
Hmm.
Is we want to hear everything from you. If you're like, yo, man, I want Fusion to be tied into Alexa. freaking put that there, right? Like whatever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole purpose of this, and that's why people feel a sense of connection. So I'm gonna post it right in the chat, and you guys will see. But you'll see the list, and people start grading it like, oh, 1 through 10, like, ooh, freaking +1 to that sucker, right? I would love to see that. So
Right.
I just posted, and it's important, right? Like, and it's not like some robot, who is replying back to, okay, documented, right? Like it's a person, it's one of us doing that. I actually got to log on to Twitch here, so let me get that situated. But yeah, so it is. You know what, Mache, I'm gonna just plop it in the Skype for you, and then you can
For sure.
just post people. Let's see here. Chat. There we go. You just post it in there for me. But yeah, so we have the idea station as number one, and then I always hate to tell, like, so I always tell people, like, hey, when I say, hey, go to the forum, I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'll be like, go to the freaking forum. They'll deal with your ass, right? Like, that's not the point here, right? Like, that's how it used to be. That was the culture. It's like, oh, go to the forum and get lost.
Yeah, and get
in
lost,
this,
exactly.
and that's, yeah, right. That's like pretty much what you're trying to tell people. But Fusion is completely different. And even I have people that direct DM me on Instagram. They're like, yo, how do I solve this problem? I'm like, damn, dude, that's a good question. Like, it's gonna take me like 10 minutes of just typing on my thumbs this answer. If you actually go to the forum, I remember seeing a response around that. So go to the forum. And people are like, damn, dude, like, that's cool. You weren't trying to brush me off. Like, literally, the forum is legit. Like, this is so we have, we call it like Autodesk Elite. And we have a lot of these people that answer questions. We have a lot of customers in general that answer questions to other customers. And that's the best part is people are always like, well, I want to hear from the developer. And it's like, well, sometimes other customers reply back faster to questions than our development team, right? Just because we're developing, you know what I mean? So it's great to see that camaraderie and community out there in itself. But short answer is the idea station that got posted is where you want to go for all that recommendation stuff. Yeah.
Where did you send that?
I put it in the Skype. Skype.
Yeah. Let me check real quick.
Dude, I forgot like my password.
It's all good.
Freaking Twitch.
Let me load up that link. There we go. I just posted it in the Twitch chat for people to see. So you basically then submit idea and it gets upvoted if it's good.
Yep, it gets voted, and then two, we could be like, yo, we already have it in the pipe. That's already coming, right? So it's just this one place to where anything you want to see.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool. Awesome, like, man. You can rally people up to do something. Awesome. It's like pretty much like what Reddit does.
Yeah, exactly.
Just posts in general.
You got it, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad.
So we got some guys getting technical here, man. So one guy wants to know, is there an easy way to project a curved face to a flattened sketch? So today, I think what you got to do is you can take a curved, if the face is like so I'm assuming it's a solid model or a surface, and you have a flattened sketch above it, you can take a flattened sketch and project it to a curved face, but the other way around, no, not today. But I do like that, you know what I mean? I actually like that a lot. Submit that to the idea station.
What that means.
Sure. Yeah. So it's basically like just saying, like, say if I had like an organic face and I had a flat little like box, like a 2D sketch, can I take that face and kind of project it on? Can I take that sketch that's flat and project it onto a curved face? So now it just like wraps itself onto another curved face. So it's just a way to kind of get creative in sketching, but. Yeah, it's only a one-way street right now for that kind of stuff, fortunately.
Yeah.
Good old layers. Well, if you're referring to like AutoCAD stuff,
I don't think we need layers in this software.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest with you. So like if you who asked that question? Let's see. Blends. So like if you can see, you have this tab right here. It's called bodies. So everything you create that
Hmm.
is not joined together, it's going to be a separate body. And then like
Hmm.
when you get a little more technical, you can actually make components. So like, and I guess components is used more for actual like bigger designs where, let's say, if you're building a car, you might have there's going to be so many little elements that this part right here is just going to be overwhelming. There's going to be too much stuff. So instead, you just create a component and like populate. It's almost like groups and layers. So like you can look at this right here as layers, like the
Hmm.
body's group right here. You can just look at it almost like it's a layer, and then this right here on the very top level, if you collapse it, that's a component, and you can add like more components, and it's gonna have exactly the same structure as this. So yeah, it's all there. I don't think you don't need layers, and layers, to be honest, can be a little bit confusing to me. Like what's one of the reasons like why I prefer the model that Maya and 3ds Max have, where everything you create is basically its own thing instead of being on a layer. Because
Hmm.
like if it's on a layer and let's say you create a couple of models and forget to switch to layers, they're all gonna be on the in the one layer, and it's just gonna be frustrating. So, but yeah, it's good. It's good, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's you can't. I mean, we're like 6 years in, I think, a little more than six, right? But I mean, let's say 6 years for that number of the evolution of this product. And we've tried different things out, but it's still like as we grow the technology, we're really taking stuff from anybody who does manufacturing or CNC machining, right? I'll use that as an example. We're starting to take some of our technology from our Delcam products. We
Mm-hmm.
acquired that company about 5 years ago, and we're starting to bring some of that stuff over into Fusion, right? So don't think about Fusion as like a CAD tool, but think about it as a platform at the end of the day. Like it's going to be this platform that will allow you to turn things on or off, or kind of pay as you go, right? At the end of the day, of where you want to, because sometimes you don't need everything. You know what I mean? It's you look at that model of like what Adobe did, right, with the
Mm-hmm.
Creative Cloud. Like you pay for two or three things, or you could just pay for this, right, and have access to everything, right? We're really trying to fine tune that experience a little bit for from a cat perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always
That makes
impressive.
sense.
It makes sense, right? Like, I mean, think about it even from like education standpoint. Right? Everything is free, but then two, from a commercial standpoint, like freaking $4.95 for everything. I mean, for all your core things that you're doing today and what we've just talked about today, it's pretty impressive. So
Yeah, it's not a bad price at all, you know. If you consider like what it's pretty much, it's up there. It's not the like there's
it's
so
not
many
free.
more expensive programs. Like I'm looking at it from the perspective of a designer, you know.
Yeah,
I think when you look at CAD software specifically, yeah, this is like the by far cheapest option. I think.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone try to look into like how much you have to pay to actually use SolidWorks, for instance. That's gonna be a surprising event when you check
Mhm.
the prices. um,
Yeah, and think about how many people only use when you really purchase a product at that level, or even some of these other products, right? Is
yeah,
how much are you really using on a day to day? Maybe 20% of the capability of that product
yeah,
at that
yeah,
price
yeah.
point. I mean, those are the things to just think about, right? As we gain more market share, as we gain more adoption, man. I mean,
Hmm.
I tell people like even what you do as your business, right? You're there to teach people how to learn. You're not there to teach that. And SolidWorks or Fusion is just a tool, a part of that process to learn, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like, and every area has their own emphasis on why, right? I always hear, oh well, this product is the industry standard, and they can find jobs in that. But like, what happens if they change? I mean, then
hmm
what happens next? These people are like, oh well, I know this product or that product. It's about, well, how do I teach you? How do I teach you the fundamentals? And this is now this is just a part. This is a tool, a part of the process, right? Because you are a perfect example, right? What you guys do at Learn Square, but then two, what you do in your business, right? Like this is just one of your tools to get your job done, right?
Yeah.
Because then you use Blender, then you use Maya, and you use some other stuff, Photoshop.
Hmm.
So it's just educating people.
Yeah, it's ever moving industry. Like I've been actually pretty. It was pretty interesting. I told told this to you already. That like last almost year, maybe a year and a half was like I
Hmm.
was just basically doing Photoshop. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
didn't have to touch 3D almost at all. But and it's like the great thing about it is like, yeah, I can relax and not learn, but then like you come back and you look at what everyone else is doing, it's like, oh shit, I'm like kind of like behind right now.
Dude, right? Yeah, I love that. I could relax and not learn. You know what I mean? It's you want it to be. Do you want to just live for today, or do you want to think about tomorrow? Right? Like it's up to you. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
And that's actually like it's a great phrase, man, because people, some people are lazy. Comfortable, right? And you look at 30 years ago in this industry of technology. I mean, there were people that used one product for a long freaking time, dude, and didn't want to change because now they got to restart over on
hmm
that thing. And it's like, well, if you didn't learn the picks and clicks, but you learned the theory and understood the technology, then it wouldn't be a problem for you to go pick up something else and learn it, right? People
yeah,
start feeling out of place, out of date. They have to go, you know. So anyhow,
yeah. That
that's just my
happens. It can happen
yeah,
real
that's
quick
good.
if you just
Dude. Yep.
you have to pay attention to where the industry is going. Like I'm actually pretty happy where things are at and where they are going. I think it's a pretty exciting time for all of us. Especially, and like again, I don't want to be like you know uh overly zealous about the software, but yeah, I just like the way it works with Fusion, it was just from the very get-go, it was something that it's very easy to learn. You just pick it up and it works, and it's like, yeah, there you go. Like you don't have to think about it twice, which is something that in software specifically, and that's something I realized quite like I realize happens quite a lot of when you want to pick up something new. It's so crucial for the software to be easy from the get-go,
Hmm.
because
Oh yeah.
like if it's not, you get discouraged like really really freaking quick. Which
Hmm.
is one of the reasons why I'm like, I'm giving, so like I don't know if you I'm pretty sure you might not be aware, but I was trying to pick up Blender
Hmm.
recently, and that's like one of the frustrations that I constantly have. It's like it's an amazing piece of software, but as of today, from what I've tried, there's certain things that I'll definitely use it for, especially with the
Hmm.
plugins, because some of the plugins are kind of insane,
Hmm.
and like the amount of functionality they offer are pretty solid.
Yep.
But it's just like the frustration of picking it up, and like there's one interesting thing, and we talked about the industry standards before we joined the stream. So like, and I'm pretty sure you can say something about that too, but like when you pick up a software and the UI behavior is just not what you expect, it's just
Hmm.
frustrating, especially if you
Oh
use
yeah.
something else. If you're a new user, it's an easier thing to learn something that is fresh and new. But then from like UI UX, you want to make sure that whatever is available in the software, like it
Hmm.
allows you to do simple things very easily, and then
Yep.
once you dive in, you can learn more and more and more. And I think the two best examples from like traditional, like the best example of traditional software that does it right is Cinema 4D, I would say, and
Mm.
then
Okay.
followed up by like more fresher, like from the new software development. I would say Fusion 360 is amazing, and it's you literally take 15 minutes to get the gist of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then like I would say the pinnacle of just like not knowing what you need to do, but then it works and you kind of learn by clicking things, and 5 minutes later you can do stuff, is Oculus
Hmm.
Medium. which is the VR,
Mm,
like
got
from the
it.
UX perspective.
Mm,
Yeah, it's
okay.
pretty interesting. And then you have like all the other software that's just like in order to do a simple thing, I need to look for a tutorial, which is like super
Hmm.
frustrating. What are your thoughts about? Because like, and I mentioned Fusion in
Yep.
this pack, like almost at the top. I would say it's at the top because the only reason I'm mentioning uh, Cinema 4D is because like it's a little different category of software,
Hmm.
But like
Hmm.
from ease of use, like this is way easier than Cinema.
Yeah.
Fusion is way
Yeah.
easier than Cinema. I would be curious to hear your thoughts about how you feel about the UX and UI and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. From a, in general, or from this product perspective
Just,
here.
but I would, both. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 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 Totally. So, dude, man, let me tell you this. So we have, and I'm telling you, like, not just because I work for Autodesk, right? But the strides we have taken in giving a better UX um, and UI experience and learning experience in Fusion is night and day different than how it used to be when I started with
Mm,
Fusion. Even go back 3 years ago, go back 2 years ago, go back 4 years ago, like those milestones, remarkable. Like I would shit on these people in UX, be like, look at how look at this experience I'm going through. Why would somebody do this? Like this is why I can't get adoption. This is why people are talking shit. This is why this, right?
yeah.
And they'd sit and they listen. They'll take it like a champ. You know what I mean? Because they're not out there in the field like me all the time, right? Or the instability, and then it's this or that. Like, and then I look at like how we've evolved, right, and what we've seen, and the investment and the strides and the leadership behind it. This is just Curtis talking to you, man. Like not as an Autodesk employee, but it's remarkable, right? Because I can't remember. I've worked for SolidWorks,
Mm-hmm.
right? Taught it at a college. Worked for Space Claim, which was a break off from the original guys from PTC, right? They started Space Claim. Like I've worked for these, and I've gone through my feel of packages, and I've never seen a product iterate so fast. I've never seen people that are not here to be. Um, I work with a couple mentors and I always say, don't be defensive, be curious, right? And a lot of it is that's the reciprocation I got from this our team here. They're not defending, well, this is why
Mm-hmm.
this is why it has to be like this. They're more of like curious, around, okay, well, I mean, okay, you think of this piece of shit, well then what can we do? Or what's some of the data around it to where we can take back and make a change, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the best part, right? Is nobody wants to deal with the defensive person around, always like you're calling
I
your baby
hate that kind
ugly.
of people, man.
Yeah, right, right. You're like, I'm calling your baby ugly, but it's like you take it like a champ, right? And be
Yeah,
like,
but
well,
it is ugly though, Like just
it
deal
is
with
ugly.
it. Genetics are not fair.
Right? I know this great plastic surgeon, right? It's like, yo, dude, come on, man. Like, that's the whole thing, right? Is and that's what amazes me, and that's why I'm still here, right? That's 6 years running in tech. It's been a great experience, a great team, um, and you look at it, right? You look at the track record, man. Nowadays with people hopping around, going to different companies, that's why I'm still here because there's a passion, right? That's why I have these
Yeah.
relationships with yourself, with Ash, with all these people because it's a it's a business, man. Think relationships first, business second, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's how I'm gonna make you happy, because if I make you happy, then you're gonna make everybody else happy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to your shit and your gripes and figure out how we can fix it, right? So that kind of full circle back around is this is why I think hopefully you consider Fusion at that top three tier of like, hey, look, like we have striven, we've strived to get better, and we're doing it, right? We're doing all the right things here. Is it perfect? No, but we're doing it, right? So
Nothing ever is.
nothing ever is. No one's ever going to be happy, right? I hear people talk about certain features that, and a lot of that, Mache, is when you hear people talk about certain things, is it's just what they're used to, right?
Yeah.
You know, I want to see this because you're just used to having it because you've had it all the time through
Yeah.
this process, right? And that's what you know, right? It comes back to people don't like to change. People don't want to, what was your slogan? People are lazy. I don't want to, learn anything new, right? It's I'm used to this, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's kind of my rant, dude. I'm a CAD engineer guy, right? So if I had like you've used Adobe heavily, you've used Blender, you've used Fusion, you've used Maya. I mean, it's all some form of design, but they're different elements of design, right?
Hmm.
For me, I'm design and manufacturing, and I stick with, and that's all I've when I dabble going back and forth, I'm in those exact same elements. I'm not going to different types of platforms that do different things. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my experience is like if I have to go look at, I mean, there's a boatload of legacy CAD and CAM products out there that you could be like, oh well, this sucks. Well, because it's 20-year-old UI, right? That um, it, you're not going to update it right all the time. Like technology that was built, it was built 20 years ago. So I mean, what do you do from that infrastructure standpoint, right? Where today, we've built it on a different type of platform, so we have the flexibility to make a change quickly if we
Hmm.
need to. So our old CEO Carl Bass used to say, when he go to colleges, right? Because his son goes to Cal State, not Cal State, Cal Poly Slow. He's like, yo, so you guys want to teach software that's older than your students that go here? Why wouldn't you want to teach them something modern that has been devised for this new era? And it was just an interesting saying, right? It's like,
Hmm.
it's kind of true, right? Yeah, I know it's not as mature, but it's a different way of thinking, right? How products are developed in the past couple of years to how it was developed 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So just food for thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a beast, man. Like
It is.
just dealing with that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like the last thing you want to have, especially that comment with like, you know, like having people that are just like dinosaurs and impossible to
Yeah.
deal with, you know?
Yeah.
Like why would you ever want to do that, you know?
Oh
It's just
yeah.
not healthy.
Yeah, no. So there's a phenomenal TED Talk that even our CEO has made everybody watch here, and it's called "Don't Be So Defensive." I highly recommend it for people out there. It's 15 minutes, and it just gives you perspective. And he talks about these two personas, right? Like
Hmm.
red chickens and green chickens, and he goes through this whole study about like chickens that are collaborative actually survive and work together and produce. The whole study is around like how can you have chickens produce more eggs, right? They're
Hmm.
trying to figure out this study. So I forgot what school this was, but basically they said, well, they took there was a couple of chickens that would go and poke at the eggs of ones that will lay and try to like prove that, hey, look, hey, I can produce more eggs. It's kind of weird, right? And
Hmm.
so what they did is they took those cats and they put them in a cage, and they took all the other ones that just did their job and laid eggs and put them in another cage, right?
Yeah.
So the ones that were in that cage that just continued to produce eggs and work together, whatever chemistry they had, produced quadruple the amount of eggs, right? Then they looked at the cage that these chickens would like poke at other chickens and try to get 1 foot above them. They came back and they looked at how many eggs they produced. Well, basically, only two chickens survived because basically they were killing each other to be on top, right?
Hmm.
So the whole premise of the TED Talk is don't be so defensive, is just talking about like, look, man, it's all about collaboration. It's all about how you can move the needle better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And grow success together. So I'm really big in that TED Talk stuff and self motivational stuff. You know what I mean? So it's always good, right?
It's always good. Hey, you
Always
know,
good.
it reminds me of a study that they made on, I think it was on rats, and it's more related to like rough play, especially
Okay.
like what boys do. Like they
Uh-huh.
do like the rough and tumble, you know, kind of
Yeah,
play.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, and so like they looked at the rat's behavior and like how socially like it works. And so like if there was a bigger rat and a smaller rat, and if the bigger rat, you know, was playing with the smaller rat and always winning and never allowing the smaller rat to win and just being an asshole, like the
Yeah.
smaller rat was like, fuck that, I'm not gonna play with you, you know. Was just like discouraged. And that's like on the primitive, you know, thinking level. versus, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
versus versus then like the same scenario, but the bigger rat allowing the smaller rat to just like, you know, win every now and then. And
yeah.
that kind of like, okay, but we're still playing, and you know, and so it's, I think I don't know how much it relates to what we're talking about, probably not a lot, but to
Not
me,
the, I don't,
um but it just shows you, like, you know, like even on the animal level and like the very base, you know, primitive level of thinking, like, you know, as mammals we are kind of wired to, you know, we don't deal well with assholes, you know, like you don't want to
yeah,
work with someone who's just like so up there and just like being offended all the time and just like not listening. um like we just genuinely don't like that kind of people. And like, you know, the saying, like especially if you ever worked in the office, like
hmm,
you work in the studio. I used to pretty much throughout my whole career work in the studio. um it was always like there was always the guy, and I have to admit I was that guy sometimes myself, you know, and I
oh yeah,
looking
yeah,
back at
yeah.
it, it's like, oh
You
my god, I
learn,
was such a dick.
yeah,
um
yeah. You
but
learn, you learn from experience.
you always hate that person that's always right,
Yeah,
never wants to listen, you know. Yeah, I hate that, man. And so like, whenever there's an opportunity to know, like, okay, those guys are listening, it's just like, oh yeah, hell yeah, like this is how it's
yeah,
supposed to be, man. Like, why getting super, you know, super defensive about stuff? Like, let's
yeah,
just
dude. Let's do good things together. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Totally.
100%,
So.
100%.
Well, just a last things. I know I got to jump in a little bit, but I saw the freeze. I forgot what they called it in SolidWorks, right? The freeze bar, and it helps the rebuild process of rebuilding features. So I love it. It's funny. This is like the first time I've heard about this. That feature came out like in 2010 in SolidWorks, and um, first time I've heard a question around it. It is cool, but it's we're working on other ways to where and you got to think about like when you use like a feature freeze like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking like you're doing that to like a massive pattern, right? Because the algorithm of calculating the background of like regenerating this pattern, like that's you're going to do it on certain things. So I think there's kind of an opportunity cost to it of what you're trying to accomplish and where that will fit into play. So I would love to know the example of what you're doing and where you're like, yo, this is why it would be awesome in Fusion because it's hanging up here, and that's I think if we can show that proof point. I mean, we're all for that stuff, man. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thank you, Ryan Design Life, for asking that question. But definitely, I'll take that one to the idea station, man. I think that would be a great post to see what people have to say about it.
Yeah, I think what needs to happen is I need to rally up the Learn Squared community so we can spam it and get all the features I want done in the
Exactly.
first
Everyone
place.
put a plus one, everybody, right? Dude, don't even tell me,
Just make
man.
it
Like,
viral. It's like, hey
yes,
guys, like, I just need 100,000 freaking upvotes for this, and they'll do it like right away.
I know, man. I totally agree. Well, cool, man. So what else you got for me? I know I got to jump in a couple minutes, but what else you got,
I don't want
dude?
to hold you up. I know, like you literally have like 2 more minutes. You know what we should do? We should just do it again soon.
Oh,
Like,
I'm all
not
for it.
in a year, but like soon,
Yes.
soon.
And throw some topics, people. Throw some topics out. If you guys want to see generative, you want to see me do kind of a sketching, best sketch techniques. Mache, if you got something that you're like, I've been struggling with this. I'll
Mm.
even bring people in too if you want, like specific developers, specific product owners, just so put them under the gauntlet a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hear from the people. So let's take it up a notch now.
Oh
Even
yeah,
though I
for
love
sure, for
these
sure.
conversations, how can I do more? To help you guys out.
Let's do it the way we did it before. And I don't know if you like that way or not. It kind of puts you on the spot, but
Okay.
you know, I
Stump
would
the
just
chump.
open up a bunch of different software and show you like what I like about them. And because like I'll tell you
Yeah.
this, like one of the things that I hate doing is opening like 5 or 6 different software and jumping in between them, you know? And I just like genuinely hate this kind of workflow. That's why I rarely ever use like standalone rendering engines, because I have to export the whole thing, wait for the export, then import, then set it up, and then wait for the render, and then the render happens, I don't like it, and I have to do the whole process all over again, which is like it's just insane.
No, I know, man. I know.
So
And I have some good people to bring on board with that. So I
nice.
got some cool people that like are like shoot the shit, have fun. They're
Hmm.
not like, these people that are like, well, I'm just here to talk like features and this, like, well, you know what I mean? It's like you got some
Yeah,
personality,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we'll make
And
sure
we
we
can
look.
do more of those, like
Yeah, of course,
I
absolutely.
wanna get back to streaming a little bit more because
Yeah.
I took like a longer hiatus from it.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is like, well, Fusion is like, it is my top 3 4 softwares that I'm using on the daily basis for
Yeah.
like vast majority of my work. So why not just like trying, like, just let's see what I'm missing from the features that are already there, and then let's
Mm-hmm.
see what we can rally people around to actually, get like new features in, or maybe that's something that's already in development we don't know about,
Yeah.
so
So fair
I'll
enough.
be definitely interested with that. All right, that sounds
Love it.
cool.
Cool, man. Well, as always, thank you for having me on. And
For sure, man.
excited
You're
to
like
do
the,
more of a series.
I think you're the most from the amount of returning time, like
Thank you for
times you've
Christian
been
guest.
returning to the streams, like you're the, yeah, you're the most frequent guest.
Yes, I like it. When you can't find anybody else, right? Like, you're back in, right? He'll do it.
Yeah, I had a
No,
list
so
of people I hit up, but no one replied.
I,
Just you. No, I'm joking.
that's no, but I appreciate it. Thank you guys. I've been watching these numbers on here, man. People have hung on for the whole time,
Yeah,
so
man.
to see
It's a
that,
Learn Square community.
I
The
know
best. The best.
dedication, man. All right, cool. Well, we'll
It's a
catch up
good
soon.
number of awesome people that always watch that stuff. So that's
Definitely.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks Curtis for coming on.
Anytime, anytime, brother.
Yeah,
Good
that's
chat.
awesome. And have fun on your meetings and whatnot. I'm just gonna hang out here for a few more minutes,
You got it.
because there's like a few more questions that I can definitely answer. But yeah,
You got it.
sounds
All
good,
right,
man.
boss. Have a good one.
I'll reach out to you, and yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk and decide what next.
please do. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Good
Thanks,
one.
man.
Thanks. All right, bye bye.
Yep. Peace. Well, there you go. That was Curtis, and he'll be back. Obviously, he's a good friend of mine, and we've been talking a lot. And yeah, you guys know like how much of a dick rider I'm basically when it comes to Fusion 360. Um, I just genuinely like the software. What can I say? Like, it has all the features that I need personally, or like majority of them that I need personally. So there's like a big room for improvement, but I like the idea of like, see if we can rally up, like see if we can have enough enough interest to actually like start requesting features and just bumping them up, like, using the power of the community to get something done. Like, that would be perfect. Like, because like if a single artist posts an idea, then it's on, you know on the audience that just might see it or not and be aware of it or not to change it, versus like if we are genuinely interested in doing something, and then enough people get behind it, we can actually make it happen. So that's pretty cool. um if it's is it better than Moi? There's certain features that Moi has that I would really like to see in Fusion. My only problem with Moi is the same problem that I have with, Blender, same problem that I had with ZBrush when I was learning it. It's like a super powerful software, but everything is hidden. Like, it's very hard to find stuff. Vast majority of features that Moi has is through scripts that you need to actually like, you need to find what the scripts are. They're like not even a default UI. Like, there's, like when you go, let's say here you have surface, and then you have all those features, and then you roll down. Like, all the features that the software have, you can find through the menus. Versus in Moi, like, you just cannot find anything. So yeah, so So that's like frustrating. And then you see, like, I was talking with Vitaly about this like way back when, and then Ed and Guraziu is using it as well. And there's like certain things that Moi has that are awesome. Like, if to compare it to features that you can find in Blender or 3ds Max, which would be like FDD box or lattice, where you can just like deform the shape. That's awesome. Like that I don't think Fusion has that. The shortcuts used to be a big advantage, now not anymore. And someone asked like, how do you change shortcuts? Again, like this is pretty simple now. It could be a little more intuitive, like just slightly more intuitive, but I don't complain. You basically, like, let's say if you wanna, let's go to solids, and let's say I wanna have like modify combine, right, which is like basically Boolean feature. I already have a shortcut for it, which you can see is Shift F for me. And in order to change it or add any, like let's say shell, I want to make a shortcut for shell. All you have to do is like click those 3 dots and then change shortcut, and you're gonna get the pop-up, and then you do whatever you want to do here. Let's say Control Alt S. There you go. And if I go click this face, it'll bring the shell pop-up. So it's very easy to set up. I think the best setup for setting up shortcuts and the amount of things you can set up shortcuts with is in 3D Code, where you literally press End key, hovering over whatever you want to change, and then you just type in the shortcut. I think ZBrush works similarly. It's a little more clunky, but yeah, 3D Code has it best. To me, it's like being able to basically shortcut everything would be ideal. It's getting there, but like again, like if I'm doing this and I have this little pop-up, it would be perfect to be able to, like, let's say operations. If I just press tab, it just cycles through operations, not through this. That would be just ideal. It would just make things work so much faster. Especially because, I would say vast majority of us are keyboard people, and it would be awesome if you could do that and then have an ability to just go full screen, just like Blender. Blender has that ability where you can just basically make everything full screen. There's no UI and it's all shortcuts, which is one of the things I really like about Blender. Versus like any other software, we're just clunky when it comes to UI. So I think that covers it. Yeah. Let's see if there's any questions I missed, and then I'll wrap it up because I gotta get back to work as well. What is better on Fusion in compare with Rhino? I've never used, or I tried using Rhino, but I don't know enough to actually answer that question. Let's see. Let me write. Let's see what was. Did Fusion 360 get better export features for Maya, Blender Max, and similar? I think someone asked about OBJ. I actually forgot to ask ask Curtis about this. So if you're using 3ds Max or Maya, you can actually just export IGS files or step files. And natively Maya and Max will read it and convert it to, either you can load it up as a body object and then convert it in the software later, or you can load it up and convert out, like it will load up and convert automatically. You're gonna get like a pop-up that asks you if you want to convert it or not, and it works pretty good. It used to be like super dodgy, especially if you've had, like, let's say this kind of thing where you had like a flat surface and then some circle surfaces, like the vertices would not align. Now it's better. Like they actually align. It's not triangulated properly. It's pretty much like if you select this and right click, save as STL, you will see that you can preview mesh here. So you will see like it creates like triangulation. Like that's basically how it's gonna convert inside 3ds Max as well. Like this is the sort of like the result you're gonna get if it auto converts. So it's good enough for what it needs to be, I guess I guess the next step would be, and someone mentioned this, like having like trying this with ZRemesher. Ideally, you would want to have all of those things in one software, but I mean, let's be realistic. So, I don't think you can like. There's priorities that company have. You know, like I know realistically that Fusion 360 is like the vast majority of the business that they do is for not entertainment market. Let's put it this way. It's usually like manufacturers in industrial design products, all that stuff. It's not entertainment design where I'm creating like sci-fi buildings. I think that's not on the priority list for those guys. But it's nice to see that you can actually influence developers to actually do something. So let's see if I missed anything else. I'm pretty sure I missed a ton of questions, but let's see. I'll try to answer a few more. And do you typically capture design history or disable it? I found my larger designs assemblies slow down if I keep it enabled. Yeah, same thing. I just disable it because just the way software behaves feels to me more natural if the design history is disabled. I know it just does not allow you for making changes again. Let's say if you do a boolean, like you cannot undo it, which is a bummer. But with the design history you can do it, but the more complex the design becomes, the harder it's to actually do that, because like once you change something it might actually break the design. Again, this is not a Fusion 360 is not a design software. It's not built it's not meant to be built, or it's not meant to work as a design software. It's meant to work as a manufacturing software in the first place, which means that if you're constantly changing the design, and just like doing like weird operations all the time that are not necessarily kosher, let's put it this way, for industry design, like industry manufacturing standards, then if you change something it can break, and that's pretty normal. Whereas if you design like a part for a vehicle or for like a bike or something, and that there's certain specs that have to be there, and you just meticulously go over that and are very careful in terms of like how you build stuff, it's just a completely different beast. It's just so much easier to fix stuff on even if it's really complex, you can still fix things as you go because they sort of like follow the industry standards. So which is for us, like we as concept artists, we're just like, just YOLO it. And so yeah, so that's why I don't use it personally. It's just fast. Yeah, it is faster without the design history. What's lacking in Fusion 360 from your wish list? I would say like more shortcuts right now. There's certain things like, let's say I have this two those two surfaces that are on the exactly same Z angle, or they are exactly same surface, and if I decide to do a sketch, it only selects one. I wish it selected two so I can sketch on both, that kind of stuff. It's more like mostly like what makes it faster. And then I guess some of the features that Moi has, like Moi has this feature where, let's say if you use let's go here. Let's use one of those. It's gonna take a while. There you go. And it's gonna be tiny, but that's fine. And it's gonna be somewhere down there. So like those things could be fixed. So you have to find it, because I made it like super tiny. Let's scale it up to, because this is like a real sized building, and the other part was like whatever. But let's say I have this part, it would be so awesome to have like an easier way to align this to any of the surfaces, and then like repeat the process. So right now I think there is a shortcut that I have, Shift A, to align. And so like once you do that, I almost wish that it just had a default sort of surface that you're aligning to, instead of like you have to always select two surfaces. So like you have to align from, to, and it's not moving it, it's just flipping it. I don't know why. So it's aligning it to the surface, but it's not moving it. And I wish it just moved it to where you click. That would just make it so much easier. And then like in Moi, if you control click, it will repeat the same process as you did before. So let's say if I did that and I control clicked, it would just repeat the process. And it would be so nice to have that. Like if I can just like copy paste and instead of like moving this thing all the time like this, just have an ability to basically control click, and you can just repeat the same element over a few surfaces, and with Moi it like auto aligns to the normal of it. So that would be nice. That would be, yeah, like a snap to function exactly, which this software, I mean, it technically has it, but it's like it's clunky. It's still pretty clunky. Yeah. I think yeah, there's like a couple of other things that I could definitely find that could have been done better, but yeah, it's I mean, yeah, move tool is pretty good for snapping for sure, but it's like, again, let me go back. Let me pick this one. So you have a move tool. Like all of those functions here are pretty amazing, especially the one where like it actually snaps to, it highlights where you can snap it. It's awesome. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like it requires extra clicks. Whereas if you can just drag the whole thing, or just like click and it just auto aligns to where you clicked last, that would be ideal. That would just make it way faster. In terms of my pipeline on how I use Fusion, so I would build something like this, and then I export it to Max. I have Max opened. That's the scene that I was sharing with you guys. So I'm just like building my library of buildings basically. So yeah, I'll just export the building to, like, I would build something. Let's just pick this one, a smaller one, for instance, and isolate it so you guys can see it. It's missing some parts, but it doesn't matter. So I just build something like simple, and that just depends on the project too. Like there's certain projects where the model is gonna be more complex, but the idea is like I export it here, and then I just apply materials, and then I can just render. I rarely edit that, but I could edit this too. So if I go select that one, I already applied like box mapping on top of it. I don't like do UVs or whatnot. But I can like, hey, I want this building to be taller, then yeah, I can just always do that because it's still like, it turns into polygons. And you can see the topology is not that great. I actually want to try it with ZRemesher on the new ZBrush. I think that'll be a fun exercise. I'll try it later. But yeah, those concepts that I've shown, those were made with Octane. I think the setup I have here is kind of messy because I'm just experimenting constantly. But yeah, I want to kind of build my own city, see what I can do with this, like how many buildings I need, and then like those become, it's almost like my kit bash. And then there is a forest pack that I'm learning, and a rail clone. And forest pack is basically scattering software, so you can make a whole city by just like making those kit bash pieces and then selecting them as objects to be scattered, and then you can scatter it on top of shapes. I think you can mask with alpha masks or like all that stuff. And it's all like super well integrated with 3ds Max, so it works really great. I just have like free version for now, just to test the abilities. The rail clone is pretty good. It's basically like node based modeling, so you can just make, if I wanted to make a bridge, for instance, I would just make a couple of bridge pieces and then use rail clone and then just combine them together. It's pretty good. Or like, even let's say if that building right here, if I want to add like a duct system going in the corner, I'll just make a spline that just goes like exactly the way I want it, and then make a couple of pieces like the beginning part, the ending part, the intermediate, like the regular duct, and then corners. And then you can just like apply those to different parts of the curve with the rail clone, and and basically just repeat the process. It's just through the nodes. Let's see. Let me add this node right here. It's all like going with the nodes. Rail clone. So let me open the editor so you guys can see it. So like you pick, like this is your there's like an array as well, but you need to have a pro version, which is like the paid one. I'm just testing the free version, but you can see, so like spline would be the one where you choose along which spline this is your object's going to be created. I don't know what surface I just like literally installed. Default would be like, if you're doing a bridge, that would be the slab, like the road slab. The start and end is self-explanatory, so you can actually make a start and end of a bridge. And then corners would be like, what happens when the spline is actually a corner. You get this new piece, so you can make like a hard turns to be looking different than the regular flat surfaces. And then just like ton of shit you can add. Like you can do all the different expressions, randomizing, adding different materials to different surfaces. Like it's all within the software. And then you have properties where you can change, how those things behave. So I'm just like learning it right now. I literally spent maybe like 20 minutes in it. And then Forest Pack. Let's see. Forest Pack is pretty good too, because like you already have a library you can use, and this is like the pro library right here. You can use like the free library items as well, and then I think you just select the surface. Yeah, so like you just click to generate the node, I think. No, hold on. I don't even know how it works. Did I just click and it works? No, I don't know. Anyways, but the idea is like with the Forest Pack, you just pick an element or make your own, and then you have like different modes of generating and then different modes of scattering. It's like a pretty solid scattering tool. It's like one of the best scattering tools actually. Allows you to do a lot of stuff. Just look it up. Like go Google Forest Pack. It's pretty awesome. You can do pretty sick stuff with it. Do you typically use mouse with 3D? I use both. I use mouse and Cintiq. So depending on like what I'm doing, like right now I'm on the mouse because like I'm not doing anything precise. But if I'm designing and just relaxing in my chair, I just rather use Cintiq. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I got work to do. And yeah, I'm gonna do more streams, guys. I promised I will. And so there we go. Curtis is gonna be definitely back. There's a couple of guests I'm trying to work out time with. All of like the guests that are coming on the streams are usually, I just need to find the time that works for myself and them. So like my schedule and their schedules when it comes to work, and then making the time on the stream. So it's usually like if it takes forever, it's just because, someone's busy, or the times don't align perfectly. And the same goes to Art Cafe. I plan to do more of those. So, but it comes down to scheduling. Solo streams, probably a few. I'll do a few more for sure. The only thing I don't like about solo streams is that I feel like I'm talking, like I know I'm talking with you guys, which is great. Just interacting with chat, that's awesome. Because you guys ask questions and and we can have a good conversation about things. But I just genuinely prefer to be with someone on the stream. It just makes the stream much more fun. Because there's like an ongoing conversation. I don't have to like stop talking to look into chat to see what you guys are saying, read it, and then go talk again. Like it's just like it feels very detached in a way, because there's like no voice included. So but yeah, I'll do more streams for sure. I just need to align it with like my schedule and everything. So but yeah, having fun with those. So definitely gonna happen. Anyways, thanks guys for joining the stream today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back for some more. I'll keep you posted as usual. So take care. Have a great upcoming weekend. And yeah, so those streams, I think the one we did with Vaughn last time, I haven't exported it yet. I just need to do it because I want to upload it to YouTube, but we need to cut the intro because we use Return of the Mac. That's just gonna flag us on YouTube. We cannot do that, so I'll have to cut it out and then re-upload. And then this will be uploaded pretty soon as well. So like if you're not a subscriber and you just want to watch them for free, you can. We'll have them on YouTube a little later, but obviously subscription help to run the show, make the show easier. Anyways, thanks guys for joining. Anyone who subscribed, I think it was one person that subscribed during the stream. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, that was Rin Design Live. Thanks, man. And yeah, I'll see you later. Keep your eyes peeled for my social media posts, and yeah, take care, have fun, and have a fun weekend.